know about them.
Well, I don't know, really.
Eurovision song history?
Well, Kings keep the established name alive. Hillier set about putting a new lineup together in 1973. He got together a trio of session singers, Martin Lee, Nicky Stevens and Lee Sheridan. Sheridan was already known to Hillier as a songwriter and had a solo career, of course. Lee had a solo single to his name and was a budding songwriter, and Stevens had been classically trained, but had since adopted her vocals and was performing as a cabaret singer. The trio began recording together, but their first single, Rock Me Baby, due to be released at the end of 1972, was cancelled due to the release of the song by David Cassidy. Finally, their first two singles, Happy Ever After and Our World of Love, were released in 1973. Neither single charted, and soon afterwards, another female vocalist was added to the lineup. Sandra Stevens, no relations to Nicky, had been performing at as a big band singer since a teenager in the late 60s. She'd sung with the Joe Loss Big Band and alongside Eve Graham of the New Seekers in a club group, the Nocturnes.
Now side to Pice, spin-off label Dawn, the quartet released their first single, When Love Catches Up on You, in January 1974. It failed to chart, but the follow-up single, Lady, became a hit in Europe.
Lady.
Is that the same one?
I don't know. Sounds good.
Yeah, that was by, what's his name?
Oh, I sound good, yeah.
What's his name? Who did Lady? Not Chris Christopherson, the other one.
Yeah, that's right, Fred.
Yeah, the bloke looks like Chris Christopherson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, encouraged by this, the group set about recording their debut album. The album Good Things Happening was released later in the year along with two more singles, but none of these found success. Before the record label folded, Brotherhood of Man released one more single in the summer of 1975. This was the upbeat Kiss Me, Kiss Baby. Kiss Me, Kiss Your Baby. I'll get it right in a minute. And although this failed to make an impression in the UK, it became a big hit in Europe, reaching number 1 in Belgium and number 2 in the Netherlands, as well as top 10 places in other countries. Brotherhood of Man toured extensively in Europe, honing their stage act and harmonies, while Hillier, Sheridan and Lee worked on composing songs for their second album. Among them was a song Sheridan had largely written called Save Your Kisses for Me, of course.
Yeah, of course. In early 1976, Hillier was keen for Brotherhood of Man to make an impact in the UK and decided to put Save Your Kisses for Me forward as a song for Europe competition. This year saw a change to the contest in that since 1964, one Pacific artist had performed all the songs, for instance, Cliff Richard, Olivia Newton-John, Lulu, etc. But 1976 saw the return to the format in which any artist was eligible to enter. Save Your Kisses for Me made it to the final 12 songs, and on the 25th of February, Brotherhood of Man took the title, beating the second place act Coco by 2 points. And now signed to Pie Records, Save Your Kisses for Me was released as a single in March and hit the number 1 spot 2 weeks before the contest final. And on the 3rd of April, the 1976 Eurovision Song Contest was staged in the Netherlands, and Brotherhood of Man performed the song, dressed in red, white and black, with simple choreography devised by Guy Lutman. Save Your Kisses for Me took the title with an overwhelming victory, and as manager Hillier said, Kiss Me, Kiss Your Baby was a hit all over Europe in 1975. I firmly believe it opened the door for us a year later and helped us well because they knew us. Every weekend we travelled to do TV spots in France, Belgium, Germany and Switzerland.
Well, the song became a major hit around the world and made number 1 in many countries and returned the group to US charts. The song eventually sold 6 million copies worldwide and is still the highest selling Eurovision winner ever. In the UK, it stayed at number 1 for 6 weeks and earned them a platinum disc. It ended up the top-selling single of the year and is currently one of the top 100 selling songs ever in the UK. Oh, do you know, I'm absolutely amazed at that.
Well,
yeah, I suppose it's quite a catchy song, but I didn't think it would sell that many.
Oh, yes,
I didn't think it would be popular in America.
Well, I think the thing is, once you hit the top notch, the Eurovision Song Contest, you know, I mean that's
big money, isn't it?
It's big money, yeah. And
drives me mad. Actually, I hate the competition.
Well, I don't mind it. It's got a little bit glitzy now. The thing I don't like about it is the fact that we've all heard the tunes all before. You know, because we sort of they come out on Radio 2 and the listener chooses one and all this sort of thing.
That's what drives me mad about it.
It's almost dead to the thing. You know, it would be nice to actually sit down with a glass of wine on the night and watch it. Yeah, exactly. And then you could say, "God, I like that song," or I don't like that song. Whatever.
There's some funny, wacky bands dressed as monsters and all sorts of stuff in it.
Some of was it last year the Russians or something? They had a lot of old ladies or something
with beards, or something. And grannies, beardy grannies, babushkas.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, going back to Brotherhood of Man, the group had already recorded a second album and which had been released in several countries a year previously. Following their victory, Pie released the album with Save Your Kisses for Me added. Entitled Love and Kisses, the album was a success in the UK, reaching the top 20, as well as other countries, gaining a number 6 position in Norway, for instance. Soon after this, a follow-up single was released. Eager to cash in on this success, Pie decided against releasing anything from the album, as the earlier material had been more soul-based than the pop they were now successful with. The group instead released My Sweet Rosalie, with almost a carbon copy of the previous hit, although the lyrical twist was that it was about a dog rather than a child. The song failed to chart highly, only reaching number 30 in the UK, but fared better in other countries, particularly Belgium, where they said to be very popular, where it made number 2. Concerned by the lack of success for the single, the recording company didn't release anything else in the UK for the rest of 1976. Despite this, the fact that in Europe his new album of material was released along with singles in various countries. I Give You My Love in Germany, Spain and others, and New York City in France.
Earlier in 1977, the group released their next single, Oh Boy, brackets the mood I'm in. The song was a change to their previous hits in that it was a female-led and much more in a contemporary pop style. The song was a hit in the UK, reaching number 10 and fared well in Europe as well. The album, which had been released in Europe the previous year, was now released in the UK with the new single added. The album, now titled Oh Boy, didn't follow their last album into the charts, however. By now, the public were picking up on their similarity to ABBA, who were currently dominating the charts around the world. This perception was cemented with the release of their next single, Angelo, criticised by many for its similarity to ABBA's Fernando.
I was just going to say that, yes.
Well, they shouldn't have done it, really, because the song was released in the summer of 1977 and apparently was an instant success. The song rose to number 1 in the UK charts and became one of the biggest hits of the year, as well as ending up among the best 50 best-selling singles of the decade. The group were invited to appear on the 1977 Royal Variety performance, where they elected to sing Angelo rather than their current single, Highwayman. Deprived of this vital promotion, the single failed to enter the charts, although it was probably under the top 50 at the time, but it did, however, become a top 20 hit in both the Netherlands and Belgium. An accompanying album, Images, similarly failed to hit the UK charts.
Well, the group battled on into 78 with the release of Figaro, which brought them back into vogue and became their third UK number 1 single. Many critics argued, however, that the song was simply cashing in on the success of Angelo. But although their titles are similar, there is little evidence to support this, as the two songs are very different. I was going to say on that note, I thought a lot of their stuff was quite similar. Probably because it's the lineup of the group and the nature of it, I suppose. They don't play instruments, do they?
No.
In May, Beautiful Lover was released, and another hit reaching the UK top 20 and spending 3 months in the charts. An album was released soon after, B for Brotherhood. The recording company took no chance with this album, given the failure of their previous 2, and so with a TV advertising campaign, the album entered the UK charts, eventually peaking at number 18, which was their most successful album thus far. As the year drew to a close, another single, Middle of the Night, was released along with a greatest hits compilation called 20 Greatest. Apart from featuring all their own hits and smattering of album tracks and new songs, the group re-recorded both United We Stand and Where Are You Going To, My Love for the album. 20 Greatest became Brotherhood of Man's most successful album, reaching number 6 in Britain and spending 15 weeks in the top 75.
1979 saw the group going into decline as the hits dried up. 3 singles released in the first 6 months of the year all failed to make the charts, as did their next album, Higher Than High. This was despite regular TV appearances and radio play, although the group remained popular on the live circuit. As Pie Records was due to fold at the end of the year, one more album was released in December to fulfill their contract. The album, Singing a Song, was made up of unreleased songs mixed with new material, but no singles were released from this collection. Manager Tony Hiller set up his own record company in 1980, Dazzle Records. Brotherhood of Man released the first single on the label, Honey, Don't Throw Your Love Away, which also didn't chart. Nor did the follow-up, which was a cover of the 1960s hit Will You Love Me Tomorrow, which was done by very many people, the Shirelles, of course. An album was recorded, but went unreleased, except in Australia. And towards the end of the year, the group were offered a deal with Warwick Records to make an album of cover versions. It was a downhill decline, obviously, fast rushing at them, you know. That was released in November. Sing 20 number one hits, and it was the group's take on 20 number one hits, UK hits, from recent years. Apparently, though, this album was a hit, peaking at number 14, which was their biggest chart success for 2 years. The album remained in the top 50 for 2 months and was awarded a gold disc for sales of over 100,000. Keen to release a follow-up, Warwick offered them a double album deal the following year. Released as a buy-one-get-one-free package, 20 disco greats and 20 love songs, again a collection of recent chart hits, came out in 1981. The album didn't match the success of the first two and missed the UK charts. And tracks from these albums appear frequently on CD releases of the group, interspersed with their own hit singles.
Well, so Warwick Records, was that one like Embassy Records that used to sell mainly or just in Woolworths shops?
I think you're probably right there, actually, yeah.
In early 1982, Sheridan opted to leave the group to study for a degree in music. Hiller took on 28-year-old Barry Upton, an up-and-coming songwriter. Upton was later to write hits for many artists, including Sonia and Steps. The previous year, the UK had won the Eurovision Song Contest for the first time since Brotherhood of Man, with the two-boy, two-girl pop act Bucksfield. You know, they always mix them up with Bucksfield, actually.
Yeah.
Within 12 months, they had chalked up 3 number one singles, encouraged by their popularity. Hiller set about reviving Brotherhood of Man's fortunes. In 1982, the group signed a deal with the EMI in the hope that the new pop revival would encompass them. Armed with a new single called Lightning Flash, written by Hiller, Lee and Upton, the group were relaunched with a new contemporary image and sound. The song, however, only reached number 67 in the summer of 1982, but was the first single to chart in nearly 4 years. A follow-up, Cry Baby Cry, failed to capitalise on this, but nevertheless, the group began working on a new album. And in 1983, the songwriting team of Hiller, Lee and Upton entered a Song for Europe competition. Is that a different competition then? Must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, the competition, when The Kissing Stops, made it to the final. Oh, dear me. Made it to the final 8, but although initially tempted, the group decided not to perform the number themselves. We all agreed it would be better to be remembered as winners, and we couldn't bear to lose, remembers Sandra Stevens. Hiller formed a male-female trio under the name Rubik to represent the song on the 24th of March 1983. The group lost out to another male-female trio, Sweet Dreams, ending up in 5th place. Despite its failure, Brotherhood of Man recorded the song and chose it as their next single, released in the summer of 1983 alongside their new album called Lightning Flash. Neither record made UK chart and brought to an end their contract with the EMI, when The Kissing Stops remained Brotherhood of Man's final single release.
Yes, Brotherhood of Man continued to perform in concerts throughout the UK and Europe, but less than a year later...
With Zimmer frames.
Yeah, Upton decided to leave to work on other projects, and the group decided to split. This ended their 12-year working relationship with Hiller. However, in 1985, Brotherhood of Man reunited for a one-off TV appearance, and they discussed getting back together again. Well, over the next year, and now back with Sheridan in place of Upton, the group decided to manage themselves and began performing again. In late 1986, the groups were back on the live circuit and decided against attempting a charts comeback.
I think they're quite wise.
Yes, that's right. In 1990, Martin Lee got together with songwriters Paul Curtis and David Kane to compose a musical based on the Butterfly Children books written by Angela and Pat Mills. The musical had its world premiere at the Mitchell Theatre in Glasgow to open the 1990 Glasgow City of Culture, and it ran for a month and was performed by the Mitchell Theatre for Youth. Well, just 3 months later, the show transferred to the larger King's Theatre in Glasgow and ran for 2 weeks. The show transferred in late 1992 to London's West End, and Brotherhood of Man recorded the songs themselves, and the 19-track collection, available on cassette only, was available to buy at the theatre. The album was never commercially released, although some tracks did make it onto tie-in cassettes to go with the books a few years later. The Butterfly Children, essentially a children's show,